What's up, guys? Sunday
Hi.
night, hanging out with you.
Yeah.
I hope you can hear us and everything. If you can't, you got to shoot us a text or email or call us or something. Let us know how it sounds.
Happy Sundays at 6.
Yep.
This is the Celebrate Recovery at New Heights Church, our online expression during this COVID season. We've been meeting every Sunday here at our house online. And we just did that little video clip that was like a time-lapse thing. Chad thought it would be cool to record.
Show you guys all the stuff that we do before this ever starts.
The time it takes to move the whole room around, it's kind of fun. And then we have to pack it all up at the end. We won't show you that video, though.
We're mad at each other.
No, it's fine.
Not really.
I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I celebrate recovery from the grief of a divorce, poor relationship choices, and the consequences of those choices I still struggle with. Not being able to manage the outcome of things, and just trusting that the Lord has my future. It's a crazy time. I know it, and I still sometimes trust. Let me adjust my shirt. I feel like it's pulling. My name is Angela.
Oh, hi, Angela.
Hi.
Welcome. I'm glad you're here tonight.
Yes.
That worked out good. Otherwise, it would just be me.
Me and my messy bun.
I'm a grateful believer in Jesus. I struggle with drugs, alcohol, lust, food issues, anxiety, with liking to control things. And my name is Chad.
You like to control things too?
I do, but only one of us gets to, Angela. Only one of us gets to.
And that's me. I out-control Chad on a pretty daily basis, I think.
She tries, but I'm kind of a little bit slippery.
I've got a couple of announcements, and then we'll kind of keep on rolling. First announcement is, is that my...
It wasn't me. I don't know if it's you or me.
Sorry, I thought my volume was down. Announcement 1 is that if you don't have a home church, New Heights Church in Fayetteville, Arkansas is the home of our Celebrate Recovery. We have just started last week actually having outdoor services Sunday mornings. Today was canceled due to the rain, but weather permitting, we will have outdoor services for the month of September. And then our goal is to go back inside and have in-person church in the Boys and Girls Club on Sunday, October 4th. That's the goal. Chad and I have been talking about when we're going to bring Celebrate Recovery at New Heights back. We're not quite ready for that, but we are starting to move towards having those discussions. I know there are quite a few Celebrate Recoveries in the area that are. I know Tuesday night Christian Life Cathedral meets in person. I know Fellowship Bible Church in Rogers and Lowell, they're going to start meeting in person, but they're probably will have some instructions that you need to follow and that kind of stuff. So please check out their Facebook page or their website before you just show up. I'm not sure what those instructions are, but starting this Friday, they're going to start doing in-person stuff. So we'll be kind of watching everyone else do it, and then we will follow in their footsteps. Seems like a really good plan.
Yeah, I mean, and it looks like school's going pretty well. I mean, overall, I know there are some people that have COVID and there's things that are happening, but I'm like, it looks like school's going. Sorry, I don't think it's you. I think it's actually my computer that's hooked up to Facebook that somehow now Facebook's giving me notifications through the computer. So if you hear a funny bling, it might be doing some funny things. It's okay, Ange.
Keep talking.
I could just control it right here, but it's okay. But anyway, so we'll see what happens with that, with the school stuff, with the other things. But we'll also kind of look at what it looks like. You know, if things get opened, if things get back to normal, we'll try to get back to normal. And hopefully they will. I mean, I'm ready myself, and I think
quite a few people are ready.
Yeah, kind of based on what's gone on around here and how it's worked, I think we are maybe a little bit
we know for
in a good
us,
position anyway.
Our Celebrate Recovery, it's really important that we have childcare, and there were a couple things that we needed set up, and that wasn't allowed yet, but I know some churches are going to start rolling out childcare. I know school has gone back, so kids are meeting. So we're just really trying to consider what we have as far as
Yeah.
leaders, what people are ready and committed to, and we want to keep everybody safe, and we also miss getting together. So you'll be the first to know right after we figure it out. We'll let
Yeah.
you guys know via email. If you're not on our email list, please message us your email address. We'd love to include you in that blast. Also remember, this is not an anonymous or confidential platform, so if you want to watch anonymously, you can either watch after the hour or you can watch from our YouTube link, which we usually send during the week. I think that's all the announcements that I have. We've got a great leader interview for you a little bit later in the service, but first let's jump into the 12 steps.
The adventure that is the 12 steps.
We got this.
Here we go, you guys.
Do you want to take the
Is the first one harder? I think the first one was harder.
I think you say
I
that.
can't remember.
I think there's one verse that's off that somebody wrote us
they told
last
us.
week and told us
I don't
tonight.
make the slides. It was Angela.
I
just threw you under the bus.
It's okay.
I apologize.
I'll take it. I'll take step one. Here we go.
No, I'll do it if you want.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Because I'd hate for you to have to do it. It is difficult.
Please begin.
So I'm gonna go ahead and dive in. Okay. So step one, we admitted we are powerless over our addiction and compulsive behaviors, and that our lives had become unmanageable.
For I know that good itself does not dwell in me. That is in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is right, but I cannot carry it out. Romans 7:18. I like to switch the words up just in.
Well, it makes it a little trickier. That's good.
Impromptu word switching. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. For it is God who works in you to will and act in order to fulfill his good purposes. Philippians 2:13.
We just say whatever we want.
We've got this.
Are you guys listening? Anyway.
You go ahead.
I'm going.
You go ahead.
3. Step 3. We made a decision to turn our lives and wills over to the care of God. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Romans 12:1.
I got the giggles because I thought it said babies.
No babies.
I thought, that's not okay. Step 4.
We're just going to keep moving
We
here.
made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Let us examine our ways and test them, and let us return to the Lord. Lamentations 3:40.
Transition. There we go. 5. Step 5. We admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. James 5:16. All right.
Step 6. We were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up. James 4:10.
And step 7. We humbly asked Him to remove all our shortcomings. If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9.
Step 8. We made a list of all persons we'd harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Luke 6:31.
Step 9. We made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled to them, then come and offer your gift. Luke 6:31.
Good job. That was a good one. Step 10. We continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it.
So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall.
1 Corinthians 10:12. Is this your favorite step, admitting that you're wrong on a regular basis? I think you're really good.
I try to do it every day, but it's hard to find the things sometimes. Anyway.
I'll help you. I'll help you point out what's wrong.
I appreciate that. Step 12. 11.
Is this yours or
that's
mine?
one thing. That's one thing I could have admitted. We sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out.
Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly. Colossians 3:16.
Finally, I want to say let the word of Christ dwell among you richly.
12.
But I know that we said
go ahead and transition. Having had a spiritual experience as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and practice these principles in all our affairs. Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourself, or you may also be tempted. Galatians 6:1.
Did you like how I did the inflection there at the end of that one?
Yeah.
I was a little bit soft. I just felt like, okay, that's good. I did a good job with that. Thanks.
Good job. I'm not allowed to apologize. We're bringing in the snark tonight.
What's
Sundays
going on
at
with
6.
us? Why are we snarky tonight?
I don't know. We're just having a good time here.
That's good. It's good to have a good time.
I feel like this shot needs to be a little bit tighter. We're just relaxed, laid back here. Okay, let's kick it over to Justin with the Crosstown Band. Now listen, if you are celebrating any kind of sobriety or clean time, if you had a surrender date, this is the Celebrate part of our Celebrate Recovery, where we have journeyed alongside you. Even during this COVID season, it's hard, but we just want to celebrate. If you have maintained sobriety or have a date that you're celebrating, we would love for you, if you feel comfortable doing it, to just in the comments put 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, 9 months, a year, multiple years, whatever it is. And we would love to also mail you that chip of a remembrance. If you need us to do that, you can just send us your mailing address, and we drop those snail mail into the mail. That does still happen. You can get something other than a bill. You can get an encouraging reminder that you have stayed sober or that you have maintained your recovery. So that's something we'd love to help you with. Now, let's celebrate and worship.
Crosstown Band coming at you.
You're indescribable in every way. Search me out, now I'm caught up in your grace. Heard my name across the ocean, pulled me close, the current changed. You showed me light, a new horizon, until the light, a brand new day. And I'm like, I can't find the words to say. You're higher than all my ways, my God. And Lord, it's you who opened my eyes to see, poured out your heart for me, my God, my God. You're indescribable in every way. Search me out, now I'm caught up in your grace. I just can't fathom, can't make sense, how your love so undeserving never ends. You gave me freedom that leaves me breathless. Glimpse of heaven is life with you, and there's no fighting this gracious rhythm. I lift my hands high in praise to you every time you go. I can't find the words to say. You're higher than all my ways, my God. And Lord, it's you who opens my eyes to see, poured out your heart to me, my God. You're indescribable in every way. Search me out, now I'm caught up in your grace. I just can't fathom, can't make sense, how your love so undeserving never ends. Ooh, you're indescribable. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So indescribable. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Perfect love took my place. Only Jesus, only grace. What compares, what comes close? Where you call me, I will go. Ooh, you're indescribable in every way. Search me out, and now I'm caught up in your grace. I just can't fathom, can't make sense, how your love so undeserving never ends. Ooh, you're indescribable. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So indescribable. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You're indescribable. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So indescribable. You go before I know that you've even gone to win my war. And you come back with the head of my enemy. You come back and you call it my victory. You go before I know that you've even gone to win my war. And you becomes my greatest defense, leads me from the wild and dry wilderness. And all I did was and all I did was worship. And all I did was bow. And all I did was stay still. And hallelujah, you saved me. So much better this way. And hallelujah, great defender. So much better your way. You know before I do where my heart can seek your truth. Your mercy is the shade I'm in. You restore my faith and my hope again. And all I did was praise. And all I did was worship. And all I did was bow down. And all I did was stay still. And hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better this way. And hallelujah, great defender. So much better your way. And hallelujah, you have saved me. So much better this way. And hallelujah, you saved me. So much better your way. When I thought I'd lost you knew where I'd left me. You reintroduced me to your love. You picked up all my pieces, took me back together. You are the defender of my heart. When I thought I'd lost me, you knew where I'd left me. You gave me a defender to your love. Picked up all my pieces, put me back together. You are the defender of my heart. And all I did was praise.
All right. I love that
Thanks,
song.
Justin, man. I like both those
So
songs,
good.
man. What a good set tonight.
Good stuff.
Um,
Appreciate the work you do. And I
For
really
sure.
I got to just nod out to Jennifer, who has some depth in the shot this time. It's just lovely the way that she puts it together. Really
she does
takes
good,
work.
man.
It
She
takes
does good.
work.
And it's intentional.
You guys can do a
Yeah.
time lapse too of all the work that it takes to put that thing together. It's no
Golly.
joke.
No kidding.
All right, we have an incredible interview tonight. You know, when I started thinking about leader interviews, really the reason we wanted to do them, it's not really a testimony online because it's not anonymous, confidential, but I did want some of our leaders to share their journey through Celebrate Recovery, because everybody gets to CR a different way. Everybody's experience of OpenShare, Blue Chips, step studies, all that part is very unique to each leader. And so I've really enjoyed getting to hear how the different leaders found us, how they transitioned from participants their first year to being, like we like to rope people into becoming leaders. And so we have another really great one tonight. I can't wait for you to hear. Let's just kick it on over.
All right, here we go.
So we have another great leader interview tonight. I'm super excited for you guys to hear. Let me kick it on over to him and he can introduce himself first.
Hey, I'm a grateful believer. I struggle with drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and lust, and my name is Russell.
Hey, Russell. So glad that you're joining us. You know, we've been trying to alternate males and female leaders for CR. And even though right now you're currently a leader at Fellowship Bible Church, which is a great opportunity, I think they're starting to meet live again, so you can check out their website for some of the details. You were an integral part of Celebrate Recovery at New Heights getting kicked off. And so we wanted to interview you and just ask you a couple questions about your Celebrate Recovery experience so that people can get yet another snippet of what it might be like if someone starts CR or what the journey looks like. So we appreciate that you're willing to do this. So
I love
first,
it.
kick it way back. You're somebody that goes kind of way back to the fellowship days with us. You know, like we were there for a while. So tell me first how you even heard about Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah. Me and my wife, Ashley, it was my first year of marriage, or our first year of marriage. And she recognized that my behavior and my tendencies were really, struggle worthy. And so we had finally gone to counseling.
You had some hangups. That's what
I had some major hangups. I had lots of bad habits. For
okay.
Sure. So Ashley said, "Hey, let's go to counseling." And I really I did not want to go. I was very resistant. And I said, finally, if you'll just shut up about it, I'll go. And so in that meeting with our counselor, he said, "Hey, why don't you do this?" He says, "I really suggest that you check out Celebrate Recovery on a Friday night at Fellowship Bible in Lowell." And so, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. Obviously, Ashley went to support me.
None of us ever do. None of us ever do.
And I was beat up with shame already because I felt like we were doing this thing for me, to get fixed kind of thing. And so, but kind of my first impression was I liked, for me at least, I'm a big people person, but I didn't know anybody with that Friday night that I walked in, and there was 300 plus people. And so it felt a little more like a church service, which was fine with me, which is not the story with, I wouldn't say most, but some people have a hard time with that. Well, for me, it felt comfortable because I got lost in the crowd, and we sat I'll never forget where we sat on the far right section towards the back. And they had done a skit about unpacking your baggage.
Oh, wow.
I remember the skit, and then I remember the lesson. And, it was so interesting to me because it was like they were speaking Greek, but it was like I understood Greek for a second. Cause I'm like, they're talking, how they introduce themselves, and they talk about their struggles, and they talk about there is a pathway to healing to get through this. And so, man, that night I walked down bawling, and got a blue chip. And I just remember thinking
immediately impactful. It was immediately.
It was. But I was at that really low point where I was really tuned in. I think, going flippantly to a CR, just thinking, I don't know what to look for, but I was at that kind of low point of like, man, I really need something. Yeah. And, that was a big moment for me of recognizing. And I remember walking down, and I'm like, this feels weird. I don't know
I
what
don't
this
even
means.
know what I'm doing. I know.
I don't know what the next steps look like, but I want to
Right.
be here and I want to be around these people.
You know, I love that you even point out, because we say all the time, one step at a time. And you know, something whether Rodney, I've heard Gary say it, you know, leaders in our area that have said, you don't have to be responsible for way down the road. You only have to be responsible for that next step. And having the courage to be like, I don't know what's going on, but I do know something feels good about this and I want to commit to it is fantastic.
Well, and it's like New Year's resolutions. You know, we want to go to the gym one time and be ripped.
Yes.
You know, and we have to recognize like
That's so true.
it's a journey. And
you don't have to call us all out on our denial, Russell. This is your journey.
Well, I'm right there too, because I
Okay.
expect things to be perfect, you know, after doing
Yeah.
one thing one time. And it never is. That's
Yeah.
not the journey. That's not the purpose. That's not God's design. You know, it is character
A
building.
process. It is.
And it is the process, man. My favorite process is actually doing the inventory of
Oh, wow.
recognizing. My first inventory was really hard. It was like all of the bad things I had done. And now, you know, 6 or 7 inventories later, I recognize like there were moments that people hurt me or didn't show up for me.
Yeah.
And now I get to process that. So that's kind of jumping ahead a lot.
It is. So back up for a second. So you're there
Okay.
on that first night, you get a blue chip, and you guys kind of commit to this is something that's good. So did you just immediately start coming back every Friday?
We did, yeah. I remember that first open share of just the orientation kind of open share,
Yeah.
and just, you know, I thought this is a typical room. You know, this is the rooms that they talk about in traditional, you know, recovery programs.
Yes.
And I recognized, you know, pretty early on, you know, that it was very Christ based, and I really felt. I mean, I can't say I've always been a believer, but since I was a very young age, I've been a believer, and so. You know, that really meant more to me, and recognizing there wasn't anybody telling me what I should do. And I struggled with that for a little while. But we kept coming back. I finally started a step study about 4 months in. So I didn't jump into a step study. And I don't know that for me, I would have done it any different. I think when I jumped in, it was available and it was time.
You know, I tell people that all the time, because some people will be, I want to come in, get me in the next step study, go, go, go. And there's, that's what I did. I started, and then 10 days later, a step study started and I jumped in. But I honestly, in the times that I've seen people get plugged in, I now kind of say, get used to open share, get used to the guidelines, get used to introducing yourself, get comfortable with sharing a few times and having people say, thanks for sharing. Because it really, there's a learning curve to the language, the interactions, just the way CR works, that if you kind of settle in a little bit, I feel like step study, like your body's ready for step. When I say your body, I mean like you're not like, I don't know about this. You start to kind of trust the process a little. So I think it's great to show the different perspectives, that some people jump right in. Some people wait a couple of months and then go, okay, now I'm ready. What was that first step study experience like for you?
It was great. It was Chad. It was
Okay,
Chad with New Heights.
okay.
That was my first step study.
Okay. I didn't realize that. I thought you were had started way before that. So let's talk about that for just a second, because you had been at Fellowship, even though I think at the time your home church was New Heights, but New Heights did not have a Celebrate Recovery. And
That's
so
correct.
Probably pretty early on, you saw this couple get up and we're like, hi, we're Chad and Angela, and we're starting a Celebrate Recovery, join us. And I think you were, one of the few. Chad had a men's step study that he was going to kind of train up leaders, and I had a women's step study, and we were going to start these step studies and from there launch our CR. So we were still going on Friday night, but we were running the step study. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of growth. And, I had a lot of great guys in there. Good
bunch. I remember that bunch of guys. It's really
Yeah. And, Chad really kind of pulled me under his wing, and it was a very, I really like, let me go back to say something too.
Yeah.
If somebody's listening to this and they just go to large group, they're missing the main meat, because I think for me, the open share And I will say this, I know I'm supposed to say, you don't have to share, just go. But the point is, you're wasting your time. If you don't really pour into that, then you are missing the point. And if you leave after first hour and you feel a little like left out or deflated, like, that wasn't as great as I was hoping, it's because you missed something. Your body's telling you missed that second hour of open share, and you need to share your heart. You need to process. Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate that you even said that, because so many people think, man, that sharing part's too hard. And the reality is, for me, I know for a lot of people, we didn't grow up in families, or we don't live in a culture where you get to really process emotional, hard stuff for 5 minutes even, and not be interrupted and have everybody still accept you after. And so even that process is a little bit scary, but once you start to do it, it is so refreshing to start slowly unpacking that baggage that you were talking about, to be like, now I've talked about that and everybody's still around. Now I've talked about that. Okay, nobody's rejected me yet. Now I've talked about that. There's like this progression of opening up about these parts that maybe we've had shame about. We find acceptance, we find a camaraderie with these friendships that we build, and we move forward knowing we are accepted for who we are in Christ. I mean, I totally agree with you. Open share is so impactful. And hearing other people share has inspired me. So that other part is, if you're sharing, somebody's listening to your story and you're giving them courage, you're inspiring them, you're helping them make really good stuff.
I love to hear somebody else struggle and then be open and honest. And I think, oh man, I'm not the only one. And then somebody else talks about, here's where I'm at in my recovery. Here's what I did. And I get that encouragement and go, oh man, I can do that too. Like, there's so much relatable, information in open shares that I always leave just like, I'm so glad I came,
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so you were in open share, then you went into step study, had a good experience, and I think pretty early on, maybe it's because us MHOFs were known for kind of being pushers. We're like, hold the group for talent. We need childcare, we need worship, and so in our group, and I don't think she would mind me saying, we had Jennifer Napier, we call her Mama Jen, and we're like, Mama Jen. She's good with the children. And Chad's I got a guitar player in my group, and I'm like, yes, realize them. So, we felt like God just brought the people to put the thing together. At first, we started at the Go Center over on College Avenue, and we had like one room. The children were in one room, like just as being babysat basically by Mama Jen. And you were our worship leader. So you kind of just dove right in. Welcome Russell into recovery, get the guitar, sing some songs. Let's talk for a second about just maybe even how scary that was, because it was scary for us, and we're not qualified for this. And Jim Hall, our directional leader, was like, yeah, you are, go ahead and do it. And so same thing for you. You're like, I don't know about this. And I think we were both like, do it. So what was the experience like?
Well, with my own personal recovery, it was really hard, but it seemed like the natural progression of things.
Yeah.
It really was, I felt like God was testing, and, you guys were challenging me as good leaders. I think many years prior to that, I had been forced into leading worship, and I didn't know how to do it. I'll never forget.
So we did that again. Sorry.
It was a college union deal, and a guy heard me play guitar and was like, man, you're really good.
Yes.
Worship this Sunday. And so, but I didn't know the format. I didn't even know like to pray after the last song or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so when I had played and I got done and I turned to him and he's like, pray, like, and he never asked me to lead again, and it was one of those moments of like,
oh no,
I really took shame and guilt into that space.
Yeah.
And so that was, and I would say, a little bit of this was, you and Chad especially were like, hey, how's your recovery? You guys wanted healthy leaders, but I had a struggle with my own codependency of saying yes to everything. And so I did get overloaded, but at the same time, it was like, you guys were saying, hey, if you're struggling, you need to tell us. And I was having my own internal struggle of not being, and I was honestly, looking back through my inventory, I was lying to myself, saying, well, if I just work harder, this, at least I'm not using drugs, at least I'm not drinking, and I justified a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's a trap that happens to a lot of leaders, that we think we can sometimes outperform our shame. I know Chad and I have both been there also. And we're learning as leaders how to not overwork our people, how to try to make sure we check in, how to really check in, not just like take at face value, they're fine, but be like, okay, show me your work. How really, that
Absolutely.
we're getting better at not burning people out. But same thing for us. We believe that service is integral to your recovery. And so if we can plug people into serving, and for you, it's a no-brainer. You could set up chairs or help with the meal, but why would you when you have this immeasurable talent in guitar playing and singing? So we're like, no, our leaders, Dane is our setup guy. He's fantastic. Right. You're going to play the guitar and sing.
That's right.
And so plugging you into that was just such a blessing to our CR to have you in that role. Yet we all had to kind of figure out how to juggle being overwhelmed, how to juggle every single week. It was hard.
Well, and just you reminded me of something too, in the fact that I was in a job that was miserable. Things were, and I didn't have any safe boundaries there. I was on call 24 hours and I had 2, company cell phones and, I was, anyway, there was a lot of just unhealthiness, but man, especially that first year, I just think, man, we had so much fun. And I knew that, those Sunday nights, I was where I was supposed to be.
Yeah. I just remembered when you said that you used to work for a company that did sound, and we had like no concept of like sound, microphones, all that kind of stuff. You kind of were also our co-tech guy. Like you doing both. It was like set up your own microphone and also play. We were doing it all. Okay, so let's segue from there to obviously you were in a step study and we immediately kind of put you into doing the worship part. But then at some point you kind of went, wait a minute, now we do need male leaders. Why not get into another step study? What was that transition like for you, the good and the bad of it, to go through the training and step into a different role where you're not just a participant, but now you're also leading a step study, kind of being responsible to other men in your group for modeling a little bit of what that looks like? That's really hard because we can get in that performance thing again. So I want you to speak to for a second the shift in the journey that you've been on being a CR leader.
Yeah, I mean, going through the training was very exciting to me because I really kind of had tools of, it wasn't just like lead by example. It was like, here's how you dig in and help a brother, I mean, so I loved all the material. I loved the training you guys poured into. It seems like we did one every month or every quarter.
We did a lot.
But it was great. And, I mean, if we're called to do anything by Christ, it's to, it's to grow in leadership and multiply. We I know New Heights has that, and so does Fellowship, of just, we need to grow leaders and release them, and be okay with that,
and it's how our CR grows. Like,
absolutely,
this program is designed, get healthy, get other people healthy, get those other people healthy, and it just kind of keeps on going up the chain. So
yeah, and I think once you've gone through your first step study, once you've gone through your first leadership training, and you start leading a step study, you want to talk about learning more about yourself and others. I think as a step study leader, one, you have a lot more attacks from the enemy because you're about to do something great and worthy, of our Lord as far as that goes. Yeah. But, it also comes down to, man, I didn't realize all this other stuff about me from this standpoint, from recognizing, there is more expected of me, in my recovery and in my walk with Christ, and not from a, let me outwork it standpoint, but just, if I'm going to follow and be sinless in Christ, then I need to be more like him, especially if I'm leading other brothers.
Yeah. Discipleship is a tenet of what Jesus did, passing on what and that is something I really love about CR. It's not just we're here to get us healthy, but let me show you how I got healthy. Now, how do you apply that to you? And it might not be an exact replica, but if sharing your own experience so that someone else can go, yeah, this works for me or this doesn't work for me, is really how other people get healing too. What was something for you? Oh, what were you going to say?
Yeah, well, just something for me was like, understanding like, being taught well in leadership and recognizing like, no matter how close I get to my accountability or, my sponsees, their recovery is not my responsibility.
That's a big deal.
And that it is because, I know in codependency, and I can think if I hear about a brother slip or he calls me after his slip and I go, oh, I should have been there.
What I missed.
Well, yeah. What did I do wrong? And it's easy to take that on and not recognize this is their journey. Was there anybody who could have kept me sober when I was using? No. So, recognizing as a leader, you cannot control everybody. You cannot control anybody.
I like that you're saying that because it's really hard. I mean, I know even in those first 2 step studies that Chad and I led, both for the men's group and the women's group, we had some bumps. We lost a few people, and it was our first groups. And so Chad and I were really, I want to almost say possessive, like these are our babies,
Yeah.
When there were bumps along the way, and this happens, you get into a step study and life happens. Sometimes it just gets too hard for the participants and they're like, I can't do this. Sometimes they kind of emotionally implode because digging in is really hard. So there are these things that happen. And early on, I did try to overmanage all those things. And then later that concept you're just saying, I learned listen, I'm here for you and I'm a resource for you, but you have to make the call. You have to do the work. I can't outperform your recovery. I can't out-recover your addiction. You have to be willing to do the work. And if so, I will lock arms and go arm in arm with you. But that's a process that's really hard for a lot of leaders. I think we all kind of go through that learn how to release phase. And so it's really good that you shared that. Let's segue for just a second, because I want to talk a little bit about just the idea that it's not a perfect journey. You get into leadership. I know for me, it was like, now I'm a leader at Fellowship and I got to get it right all the time. And it was about 1.5 years in, and I had a struggle, and Rodney had to kind of pull me back and make me work on myself. And then I was able, and with love and humility, I was able to get back in and do it again and try again. So I want to talk for a second just about your journey and what it's looked like, because there have been seasons where you needed to take some time and work on yourself and then come back. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, it's been very freeing, especially my most recent kind of relapse. And I was in leadership at Fellowship, and I was very, open and honest to them. And they were very supportive and said, hey, even in your step study, I love this, that they said, let's use some other leaders that are in the group. And why don't you stay in your step study, but why don't you step back? Why don't you step back as leadership? Because, now is not the time to lead. You're obviously overwhelmed and relapsing to a degree that, we love you. We support you in your recovery. And I'll never forget, Andy said, more than having so many leaders, we want to have healthy leaders.
Yes.
And that was, just huge to me. And it was such a weight off and it wasn't anything that they'd put on me. It was all my own emotional and, my own physical weight that I was carrying. And it was like, oh, you guys have helped me find myself and release, struggles, So
I got to tell you, that move was something that was so informative for me as well, that Rodney said, we don't want to pull you out of your step study. We want you to stay in your step study, be honest about your journey, let the other people take the lead, and you finish the job, finish the work. And I got to be honest with you, more of the participants came to me and said, that was a bigger act of leadership than just leading, because so many people would have quit, run away, been so full of shame that embarrassment, all these things that really did come up for me that are like, oh, and how typical, sadly, of our faith culture, that if you mess up, you get kicked to the curb. And that's not the experience that I got from Fellowship, either from Rodney, from those leaders. They said, hey, your health matters. And what would be really relevant is if your participants saw what it looked like to step back, get healthy, and recover with grace. And that's what you just described, which is so great. Andy and Rodney and these leaders that know how to say, this is a work in progress. You still have so much value and so much worth. We're not kicking you anywhere, but we are going to just take a little bit of the weight off, get healthy, and then we'll restore that situation. So yeah, it really is different than what we learned, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if you've got any of those leaders that are listening, now, I think that's the thing to recognize is like, hey, they're helping me. They're not, belittling me or taking me away. I mean, you guys have done that with me as well.
They're not rejecting me. They're not, they're not saying I have no value. I'm not worth it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So just as we wrap up, I want to know if somebody's out there that's listening, maybe they don't know if CR's for them. Maybe they've struggled kind of with, like you said, like we said, hang-ups, bad habits that they know they need to work on. But man, this CR thing is scary. Opening up is scary. Relying on other men, sharing, you reaching out. What would you say to really encourage somebody to plug in and the benefit of what this community has been to you?
Yeah. So I've got two things really on that. I mean, the first thing I would say is find a group, right? And if you find a group and you're like, hey, I didn't quite like that one, I think there's better, then keep searching, right? And I would say this, I would challenge you to give it a year, because I think it's easy. It's easy to go to the first month or first couple of months and you go, you know what? I don't think I need all this. I think when the time is right, plug into a step study, but I think you've got to give large group and open share. You've got to give it time to work, and you've got to be honest with yourself, God, and others in those meetings. So the other thing is, especially if you're a leader, I think you've got to filter decisions, even if you don't think you should, right? You had mentioned that I lead worship and I'm pretty good at it. And it's easy. It's pretty easy for me to do.
To become self-reliant. Yeah.
Yes. So a couple of months ago, I won't say who it is, but a group asked me, not you guys, but another church group had asked me, hey, would you lead worship this week? And immediately I thought, yeah, sure. But I didn't answer. And so I called two of my accountability partners and my sponsor. And I said, hey, what do you guys think? And they all said, no. It's too last minute. And, we all feel like right now you're still struggling with, that codependency. And for me, it was that easy. Well, yeah, I'll grab my guitar, show up and pick a couple songs. But the heart of my worship, and the spirit of my worship on stage would probably at least block myself from Christ, or
might have been performance, or just to do it for them, but not what your heart was. So that honesty is so important.
So I don't want to get on stage and say, look at me. I don't want people to go, oh, that was a great set. I want people to go, man, I didn't really even see you. I saw Christ, and I had my eyes closed and I was really worshiping. I mean, that's the spirit. And I think they're all right in the fact that I don't think I could have gotten there a couple months ago.
I love that. That's something that I think so valuable that you pointed out is really hard. The thing that's really hard is shifting from going, I got this, I can make my own decisions, I know what's for me, to going, wait a minute, my tendency would be to say yes, but I'm learning how to rely on the structure that this process and this community has in place. So I'm actually going to call my sponsor, call my accountability, and say, hey, this is what I would say. Do you see any blind spots? Do you see any things I'm missing? And that we give those leaders permission, our sponsor, our accountability team, that we give them permission to say, man, I just don't think you should do this, or I don't think you're ready for it, or have you thought about this? Then we have to take the advice we're asking them to give us. So many times I think we're like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and do it my way. And over again, our way is what gets us in a really bad place. So learning how to trust those leaders is really, really important. Oh, look how cute his family is there. We lost you for a second, but we got to... It works. So man, thank you for that point. I can't pitch enough. Rely on your sponsor. Rely on the accountability. Use this community. It works if you work it. It won't if you don't. That's the thing.
That's right.
Final things you want to say to the group before we cut out?
And I think the thing that the leader who had asked me, the person who had asked me, when I told them, hey, my codependency, and I explained everything to them, I was open and honest about my own emotions, my own feelings, and he was very receptive. He was like, wow, that sounds healthy, yes. And so, but the point is also, I didn't do it for him. I did it for me, right? I knew in my heart of hearts, being filtered through my recovery partners and my, leaders, that this was the right decision for me to make. And now if he would have come back and said, I can't believe you, or whatever he would have said, I would have struggled with that, but I would have gone back to my leaders and say, help me process.
I almost think if you're honest and you say, I'm going to tell you no, but I'm going to show you why, really, I think, does somebody go, well, I don't like those reasons. But I think for those codependents, I'm one at heart as well, to say no and to be like, I'm going to disappoint you, I'm going to let you down, you're going to be mad at me. all of that fear causes us to say yes. When we say no, we can say, hey, let me show you. That, what he's right, whoever it was, that is what healthy looks like, that you were able to say, I really want to say yes to you, but it is not a good time. I would much rather somebody give me a no than give me a yes and then have resentment or bitterness or be overwhelmed or exhausted or trigger their relapse or whatever, all the things that could go.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Man, Russell, I appreciate you. You have been on this journey with us, you and your family. We love Ashley and little Levi, man. It's just been really fun to just do life together. You've seen our life grow. We've seen, we've added little children to this recovery process, you know.
Love it.
Really fun that you're part of our forever family and vice versa. So thanks for your time today, and hopefully we'll see you around.
Okay. Sounds good. Bye.
Bye, Russell.
See ya.
That was really fun.
That's sweet. It's good to see him, man. I haven't seen him in so long.
I know, really great to just get to connect with him. He's a realtor. Check him out if you need to buy or sell a house. And so Sundays
is a commercial.
I know.
Sponsored by.
Sundays ended up not working out for him, so he switched back over to fellowship. And I just want to say we get to see them when we were doing in-person stuff. They would come to ours too if they could work it in their schedule. But that's the great thing about Northwest Arkansas is there are so many options for great Celebrate recoveries that if your job or something comes up or you have to kind of make a switch, it's okay. You're still part of the Forever family. We just have different campuses that we kind of go to, and it's really great. Russell, man, thank you so much for that. Just an incredible
miss you, man.
Story. And
somebody
journey.
asked about you the other day that a friend of mine. I'm like, oh yeah, Russell, I need to reach out to him. We got to go. I don't know, eat some wings or something. Go fishing. He's a fisherman. I'm terrible at fishing. I don't know what's up with that. I cannot. No, I mean, I've been fishing with good fishermen. He's a good fisherman. I'm not so good at it. Anyway, not the point, but we got to hang out sometime, man. I miss you. Maybe we can get a group of us guys together and smoke some wings and eat them and do something like that. I like eating wings.
And they're pretty some wings.
We're not going to smoke anything else. We're not allowed to.
I didn't know what direction you were going to go with that. I was a little bit nervous.
Like chicken wings,
sure.
Angela. Chicken wings.
I see.
Thank you, Russell, is the main point there, and I miss you.
All right, listen. We are going to kick it back over to Justin, the Crosstown Band, with another song. If you're somebody who's been considering going to Celebrate Recovery, or maybe you're a leader who just kind of has recognized just some different things about your journey as you've listened to leaders, the journey that they take, if something has just kind of gotten to your heart, or you want to surrender or have a sobriety date, you can get a blue chip during this next song. You just have to write blue chip. You don't even have to write what it's about, and we'd love to mail that to you. So let's worship. Let's finish the night out with a little bit of worship. Kick it over to Justin, and then we'll see you on the other side for the Serenity.
Casting out all fear. is good. He is God. What I've earned is not what I got. He is just, knows so kind. I deserve is not what I find. What more could I say about my God is love? What more could I say about my God is love? What more could I say about him? My God is love.
All right.
Thanks, Justin. That's awesome, man.
We've been
We appreciate it.
having a good time seeing different faces for the Serenity Prayer. And so we've got another, not new face, but another familiar face with you. Hopefully we'll continue to just pop up new faces that you haven't seen, or familiar faces, I guess, that you haven't seen since COVID started. So here's another one. Let's kick it over. Please read the Serenity Prayer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I'm recovering from the grief of divorce and codependency. Please join me in the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen.
All right, thank
Yay!
you.
It was fun because we have quite a few Jennifers at RCR, and since we're not a last name, we've got like Mama Jen, that's Nurse Jennifer. We've got, all the different Jennifers that we have. So I think you'll have to tune in again next week when yet another Jennifer is going to bring us the Serenity Prayer. You'll have to see which one it is.
We're just going to have a row of all Jennifers. We're just doing Jennifer
We might.
Serenity
We
prayers for
might
the next
have a
month.
Jennifer interview too. We don't know.
Who knows? Who
We'll
knows?
see. It's going to be a surprise. We'll tune in with you next Sunday at 6. See you then.
Are we logging off right now? We're done?
I knew Chad would have to say the last word.
Are we going to be
It's
finished
gonna
right
be him.
now?
I'm going to try. I'm going to get in.
I
can smell the dinner that's being cooked down in our kitchen right now.
You guys, this is what it, in reverse, is what it looks like, what's about to happen. You guys want to see it? Watch this.
I really thought he was going to play that backwards.
I wish I could have. I don't know how to
right.
loop it backwards.
Yeah.
But you guys, have a good night. We're glad to be here. We're happy to see you
Yeah.
guys and excited to be doing this, even as weird as it is. So can't wait till we get back together. Have a good night, you guys.